following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
And welcome in, everybody, to another episode of Tier Tuesdays here on the HighLowSports podcast. We appreciate you all joining us here for this episode. It's DJ, joined as always by my co-host Kelsey. And Kelsey, it's almost NFL kickoff season. We're getting close. We're making these a little more football-centric. We've had some fun comments. We got the fan bases fully riled up last week. And you know what? This week we might spike a few more of them as we're going to be talking about the NFL head coaches as we get ready for the season to start.
Man, all I got to say is some of these guys, you can tell they have not ever watched a single moment of one of our videos. If they're calling out how many teams did I become a fan of last week? Was it 7, 8, 9?
Every single one of them. Then one of them said, how are you trusting a Cowboys fan to talk about fan bases? Which ironic, because if they watched the first 10 seconds, they saw you saying, I hate the Cowboys fans. And
all right. So basically, yeah, it's entertaining because now you got to watch the show to actually learn what we're talking about is what we're talking about here. But no, it's been fun. It's been a fun week. I can't wait for this tiering on Tier Tuesday, because this one's going to be maybe even a little more fun than even last week's.
Definitely. We're going to definitely enjoy this. We're going to talk about NFL head coaches, and we're going to go and pop up the list now. We got a handful of different categories that we can stick them in as well. We're going to go and just take a look at the candidates here. We're going to get the easy ones out of the way first here really quickly. Some of these guys, well, they already have themselves a job lined up as well too. So they're going to go ahead and get moved in there. D'Amico Ryans, we have not seen a whole lot of him, so he is going to be going up there as well. Jonathan Gannon, same story as well. We're going to put Jonathan Gannon up there. We have Shane Steichen, hasn't done a lot of coaching, so we're going to go and stick him up there. And we also have, where did he go? He just moved on me. Where is he at? We have one more, Matt Eberflus with the Bears. He does have one season, but I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt considering the GM traded your two best defensive players in the middle of the season and purposely tanked through to help get a better position. So I'm not going to hold this 3-14 record against him out of the gate. So we're going to give him a little bit of leeway, even though he does have 1 year under his belt. But that's going to get us underway here. And I'm going to go ahead and start this week since you got to start last week by showing off your Cowboys fandom, apparently. And
yeah, where I put him dead last.
Exactly. I got Big Red Andy Reid, and to me, this one's no-brainer to me. He's going to go in the GOAT category. 1,000 AFC, NFC championships, 4 Super Bowl appearances, 2 Super Bowl dubs. Basically, the modern-day offensive genius gets better. No questions here for me. I'm going to put Andy Reid at the top. So we're going to go right to you now. We're just going to jump right to where the list officially begins with Arthur Smith.
Yeah, this one's a little tougher. As an offensive coordinator, I mean, he was honestly probably pretty good. As a head coach, though, I'm going to have to put him in nose ball, but no results. You're in Atlanta. You struggled last year. Kyle Pitts, one of the best weapons, wasn't used in the red zone. A lot of questionable decisions there in your first full season as a head coach. So yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna necessarily hold it against him yet, but I do think that there's some work to be done, to say the least, for old Arthur Smith there.
Definitely has some work to be done, and hopefully that involves getting Kyle Pitts the ball a little bit more as well too. I mean, you got a staple of running back, so maybe they're just going to run the ball even more. Maybe they're going to run some wildcat. Now you got Bijan, Cordero, and Tyler Algier, but we'll see what he has in mind. Next, this one's going to be a quick one. My first two are going to be out of the way really easy. We have Andy Reid, arguably the GOAT right now. We got Bill Belichick, arguably the GOAT of all time. Even though the record without Tom Brady isn't necessarily great, the man has 6 Super Bowls. The man's was the architect of a 20-year dynasty. Even if things are struggling a bit right now, the resume speaks for itself. He's still in that GOAT category among active NFL head coaches.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, you could make him the GOAT or Darth Vader. Either one works. He's still up there at the top of the list, without a doubt. But that'll take us over to old Mike himself over in Dallas, Mike McCarthy. Oh, man. I got to count his Green Bay years, so this is a little tougher. So I'm going to go could be better. Could be better with Mike McCarthy. I want to go personally as a Cowboys fan, how do you have a head coaching job? But I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt for a year. I'm going to see what happens. But based off this year coming up, I might be sliding him all the way down to how do you have a job? How do you have a head coaching job by the end of the year? For now, could be better.
That's a fair one for him. I honestly expect you to put him there right there, especially after we did with the Cowboys fan base. But he's definitely, especially not running his offense this year, there's a little bit to prove there, and depending on how the season goes. If it goes anything like my predictions were, he's going to drop down the tier really quickly. But next, let's take us to Brandon Staley. And This category wasn't made for him. It was made for someone else later on the list, but he fits it perfectly. He's got a gambling problem. The amount of times he's going for it on fourth down, chasing the numbers as opposed to what your brain says, chasing the analytics. It's how we get it when you're playing cards. It's like, oh, this one's going to hit. You're playing on the machines. It's going to hit. The numbers are pointing my odds, and you're down $500 really quickly, walking away all pissed off. That's kind of what Brandon Staley has done a lot through his NFL coaching tenure. The amount of fourth down times going for it, following a little bit too much numbers, not enough football. So he's got some work to do. He could be better, but he's got a gambling problem. So he's going to get into a category that was not made for him whatsoever, but fits.
It's fitting. Yeah, I like him there, the gambling problem situation. And, until you protect Justin Herbert just a little bit, you're going to stay there. Oh, Dan Campbell is our next candidate up to bat here. I'd love to say he's very, very good, but no. So we're going to go with nose ball, no results yet. There have been results in the performance of the team being better than, a trash bag, but you're still not up to the snuff for where you want to be. And let's be honest, this year is his do or die season in Detroit. He's got to have results. This year has to be a result season for Dan Campbell. As much as we love head coach Dan Campbell, and Hard Knocks made him even more fantastic last year. We're going to need more from Dan Campbell this year. We're going to need actual results for him to get into a different category here. But for now, nose ball, but no results.
Basically, everybody besides Kneecaps seem to be a big fan of Dan Campbell as well. So I agree with you. Now you're arguably the favorites to win the North. This is a position the Lions have not been in ever. So we'll definitely have to see.
30-some-odd years.
Exactly. So we'll definitely see how they handle that. Next, that's going to take us to Brian Daboll, finishing from 1 year as the Giants head coach. And even with just that 1 year, I'm going to put him in very, very, very good because we saw what he did with Daniel Jones. He cut those turnovers into a fourth. He drug a team with no receivers to the playoffs and won a playoff game. He resurrected Saquon Barkley. He got Daniel Jones $40 million. That a year. He transformed that team from an absolute bottom barrel to a playoff team in 1 year. We saw what he did when he was there with Josh Allen. So if we factor in some of that offense coordinatorness with it, you can go as well, kind of like we talked about with Arthur Smith. So I'm going to put him at very, very good. Even though it's a very small sample size and he could plummet really quickly, when you have results like that out of the gate and not exactly with a loaded roster, it's not like he took over Joe Burrow or Patrick Mahomes or something like that. You can get very, very good.
I just have one question. Is that him shirt sleeveless? Is he sleeveless in that picture?
No, he has sleeves on. That's back in his Alabama days, actually, too.
That's okay. That's the two-tone Alabama stuff. Okay,
Yeah.
Never mind. All right. I was looking at it. I'm like, is he sleeveless? This man is sleeveless. Okay. Jeez.
No, if he was sleeveless, he'd be going up in this here category up here with these other two.
Yeah. No, okay. All right. That's going to take us to Sean Payton. Oh, boy, man. I might catch some more heat here. Sean Payton is a weird guy, right? Like, he is a fantastic coach throughout the years with Drew Brees, but it does beg the question, was it Brees or was it Sean Payton? Neither one without the other, and so we'll never know. Oh, wait, that's right. We do know what happens with Sean Payton when he doesn't have Drew Brees. No, we don't, actually. Just kidding.
I mean, we saw 5 good games with Jameis Winston before his knee exploded. Then he was playing with Taysom Hill, basically.
Yeah, I mean, at this point in time, Sean Payton, I gotta say he's a very, very good coach. I'm not gonna make this like a crazy one. He's a very good coach. You could honestly, if he had Drew Brees, maybe even go no losing seasons, because I do believe up until this the year with Jameis, he had no losing seasons with Brees.
They did have a couple in there where they were like 8-8, 7-9, where they put up stupid points but couldn't stop anybody. That was before they had like the Marshawn Lattimore draft. And
that's right. A couple, it was like 2014, something like that.
Like it was after the Jimmy Graham years, but before the Alvin Kamara and Mike Thomas years. It was like that's a little spot.
The Marquise Colston empty years.
Yeah, even after that, like it was a weird dead period where Brees was putting up stupid numbers, but they were getting absolutely no dubs with it.
Yeah, but no, still very, very good coach. I don't think there's any doubt in anybody's mind. As much as I like to give the Saints fan bases crap, their coach was very good. I like Sean Payton. But maybe he did have a gambling problem as well. So you could honestly slide him in a gambling problem or very, very good with a gambling problem. I don't know if it waves the other, but, it is what it is.
He definitely has his work cut out for him this year. So we'll see if he can somehow maybe even climb up into that red tier over these next couple of years, because he's got some work cut out for him. But next, that's going to take us from the Saints' former coach to their current coach in Dennis Allen, and he's going straight to could be better. This is also factoring his time in as the Raiders head coach, where it was not good whatsoever, and it was very short-lived. So incredible defense coordinator. Head coaching so far, a little bit limited, and we'll see what he can do, because right now they're the favorites. You got a quarterback. You got some really good weapons for him, really good defense. got a terrible division. Here's your chance. Go win. You only have to win probably 8 games, honestly, to get in the playoffs. So go get him, Dennis Allen. Could be better, but he's got some room to maybe climb a little. But that Raiders tenure hurts him.
Yeah, oh, for sure. That Raiders tenure is a tough one. But that's going to take us over to old Dougie P himself. Doug Peterson here. Now coach of the Jaguars. Won a Super Bowl with the Eagles. I don't know how much that was luck or how much that was a gift or how much that was just Nick Foles' big swinging energy. But yeah, I'm going to go Doug Peterson could be better. Because overall, if you look at his career, he is actually only 6 games above 500. He's probably at the top of could be better. Maybe could go nose ball, no results technically, but he does have a championship, so I can't really put him in the no results category. And now with his second year with Trevor Lawrence, I do believe he'll have a better year. There's just no good in between category for me to put Doug Peterson in here. So that's where I'm at with him. Like, I do think he's a better than could be better coach. I don't think he believes should be with McCarthy, but I also don't think he deserves to be in that Sean Payton category and Brian Daboll category yet either. He's a very in between guy for me because when he doesn't go to a Super Bowl, he's not that great of a coach. So, I'm just going to stick with that and call it swell.
They definitely catch some heat from Philadelphia and Jacksonville with that one. But you know what?
He's a good coach. Career hasn't been long enough as a head coach for me to give him much more than that.
The Carson Wentz experiment definitely did a number on his tenure, that's for sure. For better and for worse.
But postseason, I would put him in very, very good.
Absolutely. Next, that's going to take us to Frank Reich, the new head coach in Carolina, but former head coach of the Colts, so he doesn't quite get the unproven newbies. We're going to go ahead and toss him up here in the nose ball but no results category as well. Because you see what he put together with different quarterbacks throughout the years and found ways to make it work, but eventually just kind of stalled out to where it just fell apart. We saw an offense built around Andrew Luck, playoffs, win a playoff game. Reconstructed it for Jacoby Brissett until his knee exploded. They were really good. Built one around Phillip Rivers, the least mobile quarterback of all time, who literally tried to tackle a guy by falling backwards. And then we saw him with Carson Wentz, almost dragged the corpse of Carson Wentz to a playoff spot with Jonathan Taylor leading the way. So we'll give him nose ball, but the results just haven't been there. One playoff win, 1-2 in the playoffs, if I'm not mistaken, in his career. See if he can change things with Bryce Young. But I think he gets credit for how he knows ball at this point.
That's fair. I agree with that. But, by the way, still biggest comeback in NFL history. It is in his name, I believe, right?
It's either him or it's Andrew against the Chiefs. But either way, he's in the top couple, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
I think they're still ahead.
It's either him or a team he helped coach. So
exactly.
That's the two categories.
Next, you got not Jim Harbaugh, but John Harbaugh with the Ravens up to hard to believe he's been the coach there for 14 years now.
That's wild to think. There's been some rough years there for him, but it's not been very many, if we're being honest. John Harbaugh has been probably one of the most successful coaches that nobody really talks about career-wise. I think he gets oversold a lot in his career. Like, people just don't really believe he's as good as he is. He has 600 career win percentage. So yeah, I'm gonna. You know what? I know we haven't had anybody go in the no losing seasons yet, and I don't think you can technically put him in there because he has had a losing season.
He has,
but I think very, very good is acceptable.
I think that's a good spot for him as well too. I mean, he's been awesome from Joe Flacco to Lamar Jackson, everything in between too. The heavy defenses, the different offenses, and I think we're gonna see even a different. He's found a way to keep them competitive through everything. It feels like even on those bad seasons, they were never bad. They just weren't as good as the other ones in their division.
Yeah. So his worst season, by the way, he did have one. Actually, he has 2 losing seasons in his career. He has one where they went 5-11, which was 2015, and he has one where they went 8-9, which is 2021. So 2 losing seasons in his incredibly long career.
And one of those included losing Lamar Jackson for about 5 or 6 games as well too. So that'll definitely do it. So definitely a John Harbaugh. Unfortunately, sometimes gets the short end of the stick because of younger brother Jim kind of rubbing people the wrong way, it feels like. But he's been an excellent coach for almost 15 years now. And that's going to take us to Josh McDaniel now. And we got our first one in the anchor. How do you have a head coaching job? You shouldn't have got the one you have in the first place after your tenure in Denver. You got this one and you took a playoff team and dropped them to the bottom of the barrel to the point where they benched and traded their franchise quarterback. Their star receiver, rumoredly, is probably going to want out. Your franchise running back you can't get him on the field, it feels like. Talk about trading your slot receiver, and you got rid of your star tight end, who, while injured a lot, you got nothing back for him. Where this team's imploding, just like the team he took over last time imploded. So I have no idea how he got the head coaching job in the Raiders in the first place. Shouldn't have had it. And it doesn't even matter that he also stunk last year. Throw that on top of it. Bottom of the tier for you, Mr. Josh.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I can add anything else to what you said. It's been bad. Also, I guess let's not forget that what he did to Indianapolis in there, taking the job and then leaving in the last one. So yeah, that's
that might have been the best thing he's done as a head coach for at least the Colts league as well. Good, that might be the best thing.
That's fair. That is fair. All right, so that's going to take us to head coach Kevin O'Connell with the Minnesota Vikings. You could honestly put this guy in an unproven newbie, but also he did go 13-4 last year with the mid of all mids at quarterback. And you're talking about a guy who, former NFL quarterback as well himself, didn't have a great career by any means, but he had a career in the NFL. It was very short, but it was a career. Technically, he has no losing seasons. I really just want to put somebody in no losing seasons at this point in time. I know it's like supposed to be that top tier category, but honestly, I he's a really good coach. I think at this point in time, we're seeing that he is really good. But I'm going to say he's very good right now. I'm going to say very, very good.
That's fair.
All that to say that. You went 13-4 with Kirk Cousins. Like, let's be honest, that's a pretty good. Dalvin Cook in and out of your lineup. You did have some injuries to deal with last year. You also had an injured Kirk Cousins for half of the year, and he still got 13-4.
Exactly, and no defense to speak of. And on top of it, you only had Justin Jefferson for the most part too. So it was literally you built an entire team to thrive off of number 18's back. So, I think that'll work for him, even though it's a very small sample size. We'll go ahead and stick him there. When you win 13 games out of the gate, you can get a little bit of leeway. Same with Brian Daboll winning 11 games and a playoff game out of the gate. So. Even the unproven newbies, if they have results like that, they can get a little bit of leeway. So next we got Kevin Stefanski, who this category was kind of made for along with the other ones as well. Knows ball, but no results. From the Baker Mayfield experiment, dragging him to a playoff game and winning it. I guess technically he wasn't the coach when they won it, but getting that team there in the first place. The next year, the Baker saga, winning, 6-7 games with Jacoby Brissett, and then the ghost of Deshaun Watson. It's been a very interesting ride for Kevin Stefanski in Cleveland. We've seen offensively when they followed like those first 15 to 20 scripted plays, they're incredible. But then it gets a little bit shaky when you have quarterback play that's very unique is what we're going to say. It's been a very unique run. So I do think he knows ball. You see the way he puts things together, the way he game plans. So I'm going to give him that. But at the same time, he could also be a little bit better. But I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt. He does have a coach of the year under his resume right now. So he can have it for that.
Yeah, hey, there you go. That's good enough for me. No, this is a deciding year for Stefanski, I feel like. I don't think you have much more opportunity there if you're him.
Oh, if they're 4-6 at any point, he's getting fired. They unfortunately right now his seat is steaming if they don't come out of the gate firing.
And they have $34 million in cap space as of today to play with. So you don't really have a whole lot of excuses either. You can go sign somebody if you want to.
Yeah, they got to roll that over. So they got to pay number 4 a whole lot of money.
Or they might be paying, number 24. Yeah, Nick Chubb.
They've already paid him recently. He's good for now.
Yeah, pay him again. It's okay.
But they don't pay running backs. I don't know what you think this is. Running backs don't get paid around here.
That's fair. But that's going to take us to the team that does have the highest paid running back in the league with Kyle Shanahan. Yeah, I like that segue there. Anyways, Kyle Shanahan, very, very good coach. I don't think there's any question about it. You don't just make to what? Almost 2 Super Bowls with
3 NFC championship games and a Super Bowl. Well, 2 Super Bowls if you include his OC time. But yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, look, with Jimmy G as his quarterback, he makes it to 3 NFC championship games. Not bad. 2 NFC championship games and a Super Bowl with Jimmy G as your quarterback. Let's also not forget all the injury issues. I do wish he would figure out how to use Trey Lance better. I don't think he needs to be a bullpen, like a sledgehammer. But you know what? Hey, I'm just as harsh on Trey Lance as I am on anybody else. So what do I know? But yeah, Kyle Shanahan, I think there's no question about it. He's a very, very good coach.
Absolutely. And next, that's going to take us to Matt LaFleur. And I'm going to catch some heat for this one as well, too. But I'm going to put him under could be better. His record in his first handful of seasons is absolutely incredible. Based on Aaron Rodgers having arguably one of the best quarterback seasons of all time. And then another one where he won an MVP. But no, it should have went to Tom Brady that year. But he was still really good. And you were still the number 1 seed both years. And then as soon as you lose Devontae Adams, the team can't seem to figure it out last year. We're going to learn a lot about it this year with the Jordan Love experiment. If they come out of the gate firing, he's going to climb up to very, very good real quick. Like if they come out stinking, well, we're going to see he could be a little bit better. Not saying Jordan Love has to be Aaron Rodgers right away, but we're going to learn a lot about the Matt LaFleur experiment as well. So I think he is good. I just don't know if he's very, very good. And you can't say no results because they've gotten results. They just haven't quite been the results that you want. So I'm going to go ahead and put him. It could be better for now with plenty of room to climb.
Absolutely. I think that's a safe place for him. I mean, you go back to all those NFC Championships games of getting knocked out by the 49ers with Aaron Rodgers as your quarterback and taking the ball out of Aaron Rodgers' hands. It could be better. It easily could be better. But going from could be better to a guy who, well, let's just say he's a brilliant tactician. Been a coordinator in two Super Bowls in some way, shape, or form. Look, he had the Dolphins running last year. Mike McDaniel, the next one up here, 9-9 in his career, 9-8 regular season, 0-1 in the postseason, with probably the worst starting quarterback in that postseason game I have ever seen in my life. Still kept him competitive somehow. I'm going to say right now it's nose ball, but no results. It's obvious he knows what he's doing. That Yale history degree he has is paying off somehow for football, but it pays off. And Mike McDaniel is probably one of the more entertaining interviews I think I've ever seen. I'd love to have him on the show every week to interview him after a game, just because I think it would be fun. But yeah, Mike McDaniel knows ball, no results, just as of right now. But I think this is one where it's very obvious he knows what he's doing. It's just can he get the right players around him to stay healthy? And who knows? Maybe if they sign JT, it's going to be a track race down in Miami.
We'll see what they have to give up to pull that off. But definitely some interesting things going on in Miami, despite the implosions going on at the same time. But that's now going to take us to Mike Tomlin, who the category we wanted was made for no losing seasons. Been around since we were at middle school, has yet to have a losing season, despite all odds pointing to him having losing seasons. You had Kenny Pickett throwing 6 touchdowns last year, Deontay Johnson scoring 0, and you still won 9 games somehow. You had TJ Watt missing at several games, you still won 9 games. Don't know how he does it. That's all there is to it. He's not quite a GOAT, but my goodness, he does something pretty much no one else can. He gets his own category. We've been dying to put somebody in, but it was made just for him. So Mike Tomlin, no losing seasons.
Yeah, it's funny. I've always talked about Mike Tomlin as a coach and how I don't like his X's and O's mentality. It's fair. I feel like that's a fair assumption about Mike Tomlin. His X's and O's aren't perfect by any means, but the guy is a huge motivator, a fantastic players coach, and you cannot sell short how good of a players coach he is when he leads trash teams to 9 wins. I don't get it. I will never understand how he does it. He has rolled out some of the worst quarterbacks I've ever seen at times to fill in backup roles, and they still manage to win games to get them to 9 wins. I don't get it. I'll never understand it. Congratulations to Mike Tomlin, though, on what is one of the stupidest, silliest records I've ever seen. That just doesn't make sense when you look at who has the record and the teams he's rolled out.
Yeah, absolutely as well, too. So that's now going to take you to somebody that you sometimes like a lot, sometimes you don't, in Mike Vrabel.
I don't like him ever at all unless I'm making fun of him. And that is, Mike Vrabel. How do you have a head coaching job? I think that's safe to say at this point in time. I am harsh on this one. I think he is a fantastic defensive coordinator. I do not like him as a head coach. He is just far too high strung to be a head coach, in my opinion. I don't like when your head coach cannot do anything for the offense. It was just funny considering as a player, he caught touchdown passes, even though he was a linebacker. I'll never get over that. But as a head coach, I don't like him. I don't like him as a head coach, period, point blank. I think you have a lot of talent there on that offense, but you turn it into a blunt hammer, use Derrick Henry to the point of him wasting his entire career in Tennessee, and he will not go to a Super Bowl because you did not put weapons around him. You thought, hey, what if we keep trading our best receivers away year after year after year? Our best talent, let's keep trading it away year after year after year. Let's see what happens. Mike Vrabel's involved in that. So I'm not letting him off the hook here. How do you have a head coaching job? And I hope you prove me wrong, but I'm gonna take all the heat for this one.
Most definitely, especially from Tennessee. He was coach of the year 2 years ago and was number 1 seed. So you're gonna catch the steam for it.
Defensive coach of the year, absolutely. He was a great defensive coach. But if you look at that team and tell me that's a good offense, I'm gonna call you a bold-faced liar.
Moving on. Now speaking of bold, we're gonna go ahead and jump into Nick Sirianni on this one. And he's gone to a Super Bowl. A lot of people don't really like him, but you gone to a Super Bowl, you gone to the playoffs in your 2 years. We're going to go ahead and put him in very, very good as much as he rubs everybody the wrong way. There's a chance he could fall down this one, but you've had results in 2 years, went to the playoffs, then you went to the Super Bowl. You were there helping turn Jalen Hurts into the superstar he is today, and you gave up the reins play calling to Shane Steichen, which kind of transformed that offense and took him to another level, which showed very good self-awareness and the ability to be that head coach as far as making that happen as well. So we're going to put Nick Sirianni a very, very good head coach, as much as he knows how to rub people the wrong way, for worse and for worse, but he's still a very, very good coach, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, at this point in time, there's no doubt about it. He is a good coach. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is.
It'd be what it'd be. But next, you get the fun one. You got Pete Carroll next, which can go one of many, many ways.
God. Pete Carroll's a weird one, right? As a coach, as a head coach, he's a fantastic head coach. He's, again, an inspirer of men. There's no doubt about it. If we're talking just college, this dude is the GOAT of all GOATs, potentially, up there with the likes of Paul Bear Bryant in his career. And I don't say that lightly. As much as I am an Auburn guy, I still give the respect where respect's due. But in the NFL, it's not been as easy sledding. However, looking at his record, the guy has nearly 50 games above 500 in his career. I think we're going to have a third candidate up here for GOAT. I'm going to put Pete Carroll in the GOAT category. Plus, what? How many Super Bowls are we talking about here? One Super Bowl, 3 appearances.
2 appearances.
2 appearances with one of my least favorite quarterbacks of all time, but one of the best defenses of all time. And probably some of the most underrated offensive players I've ever seen too, in that same time frame. So I'm gonna go Pete Carroll here as a third nominee for GOAT.
I think what we saw last year, where they got rid of their all-time franchise quarterback, like the best quarterback in the history of the franchise, arguably, you brought in a guy who got punched in the face by his own teammate who ain't right, and he didn't write back, and you went to the playoffs with him. I think last year really helped solidify that, and you had all those draft picks. That's a dangerous team heading forward. And Pete Carroll, Seattle's going to be dangerous this year, and I agree with you. Pete Carroll is up in that higher category, so there's something to keep an eye out for sure. Next, we got Riverboat Ron Rivera. There is no other place to put him than with a gambling problem. Going for it on 4th down, sometimes gambling with what he says too, basically saying how players are saying, Eric Bieniemy's coaching me too hard. He's being mean to me. It seems like he just kind of gambles without says things when he gambles, says things when he goes for on 4th down. It's a good fit for him, so we're going to put him in gambling problem. You don't get called Riverboat Ron unless you have at least a little bit of a gambling problem.
I mean, he was successful with Cam Newton of all people, so you got to be rolling some dice to be successful there in the NFL.
Hey, didn't say it was a bad thing all the time. Sometimes it's a good thing. Sometimes you walk away with 5 Gs. Other times you have to call the spouse and beg, honey, I need your help. I've drained the account.
Yeah,
so
that's fair.
Yeah. But next you got Robert Saleh now. So the new head coach of Aaron Rodgers.
I want to put him in very, very good, but it's too early to know. And I can't put him in could be better because, well, again, it's still too early to know. I do think this is going to be a situation where he knows ball, but it's no results yet. Kind of just like his former co-compatriot with the 49ers and Mike McDaniel. Robert Saleh as a guy who, well, he could be the next coach, next very, very good coach. Just needs to get it together for a couple seasons in a row and hopefully find a quarterback solution. Maybe this is his quarterback solution with Aaron Rodgers. We'll have to wait and see. But all signs point towards no duh. But yeah, Robert Saleh right now knows ball, but no results. I just think is a safe option for him.
That's very fair. And that's now Tate's next to Sean McDermott in Buffalo. And this is another very, very tough one, but I'm going to be harsh on him. He's going in the could be better category. You've been very, very good. You've won 13 games multiple years. You've been there while Josh Allen's transformed into Josh Allen, but you still keep coming up short. And it feels like you get out coached in those big games. It feels like you just kind of get stuck. Saw it last year against the Bengals. We saw it multiple times against the Chiefs. We see it in the regular season, some of these games. He's a very, very good head coach, but it feels like sometimes he almost just gets lost, I guess it feels like. It feels like he just kind of gets out coached when he doesn't need to be out coached. And then we're also not even going to get into the Stephon Diggs situation this offseason. I am very concerned the next day. Oh, it's nothing. You guys made no big deal about it. In fact, we're going to cancel practice tomorrow because it's not a big deal. Make up your mind. Like it feels like things are getting a little bit shaky on his end, which I think they're going to be good this year. I think it'll be fine. He's a very, very good coach. But at the same time, you have so much talent. You've been expected to usurp the Chiefs the last 3 years, and you keep falling a little bit short. So we're going to put it could be better by a small margin.
Yeah, I think that's a fair place for him. I mean, kind of shocking, though, in a lot of ways because he has been very good. That team has been very good. But it has been a letdown when they get to that promised land. It almost has the case of the Andy Reids. The early career Andy Reids in Philadelphia, where it's a really good team. They keep making it to the promised land, or almost to the promised land, just to fall short.
Exactly. And next, you got one of the youngest head coaches in the league still, even though he's been around forever. It feels like in Sean McVay.
Yeah, 6 seasons as a head coach and an incredible win percentage, I believe. Close to a 600 win percentage in the regular season, almost 700 in the playoffs. So, yeah, we're going to go with a very, very good coach. Been to 2 Super Bowls, won 1. Not a bad situation. Yeah, you did change quarterbacks, but you knew what you had to do. Also, one of the more intuitive coaches, I believe, that's out there. So I know he's young, but the ability to be able to tell his quarterback what's coming up until that clock, but also shut up enough that his quarterback doesn't get overwhelmed, is a pretty good look. I do think there's some things that need to be figured out in LA, but I don't think it's necessarily Sean McVay's fault. But right now, I mean, I think it's safe to say he's very, very good. You win a Super Bowl in your second try, and you still do it within your first 5 years in the league. That's not bad.
Absolutely. And a very innovative offensive mind, nonetheless, that a lot of teams kind of copied and pasted a little bit from those early years with Todd Gurley, et cetera, and how he's transformed the offense from Todd Gurley centric to Cooper Kupp centric, really. So and he might not even be around. He might be a guy that jumps in, makes a splash, and then jumps out too. There's rumors he might be on the way out before too long. So next we got Todd Bowles, the head coach of the Buccaneers and former head coach of the Jets. And especially with that Jets tenure, we're going to go with could be better. That team felt like it imploded last year. It felt like they won the division because no one else wanted to win that division. That's pretty much what it came down to. And that was with Tom Brady, Mike Evans, and the squad too. So we're going to put it could be better. It's been a rough sled with him as a head coach, and now he's got to do with Baker Mayfield. So we'll see how that goes. But we're going to put him it could be better.
No, that's another fair one. I mean, you can't just judge him based off of what he's currently doing. You got to judge him a little bit on the past. Kind of like I kind of weighted Pete Carroll a little bit in there with his Jets tenure, but it wasn't completely just based off his Jets tenure early on in his career. So, yeah, I think this is one where Todd Bowles needs to prove something, and he's going to have a whole lot to be able to prove if he could do something with Baker Mayfield this year.
Absolutely. And that's going to leave you with last but not least, we got Zac Taylor, the head coach of the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah, I'm going to say very, very good. He has 5 postseason wins, and that is the same amount of team wins won by the entire Bengals franchise prior to hiring him as a coach. Been to a Super Bowl. Yes, he has a losing record, which is the weirdest one. That is the weirdest aspect of this. But you cannot tell me this guy is not a good coach when he takes this team from what is the worst thing you have ever seen back-to-back years, because you got Joe Burrow injured in his rookie year, to then a Super Bowl. 5 wins in the postseason is incredible. Yes, you are riding the coattails of Joe Shiesty. I don't care. Right now, you're doing your thing. You know what your weapons are, and you're getting out of the way so your weapons can do the work, which is one of the hardest things a coach has to do, is put aside their own ego so they could be successful. Sometimes it has to happen. Sometimes you just have great players, and you got to let them do great things. Pete Carroll talked about this with Reggie Bush at USC. Reggie Bush was doing such crazy things, he had to just kind of step aside and let Reggie Bush do his own thing sometimes. That's exactly what Zac Taylor is doing with Joe Shiesty and Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd. I mean, Tyler Boyd looks like a guy who has a resurgence in his career, even though he's only been in the league for 8 years, but he was still was a nobody, felt like, until Joe Burrow took over. So, yeah, I think Zac Taylor may not be the best X's and O's guys right now, but he knows his team, he knows his weapons, and he stays out of the way, which is a very, very good aspect of a head coach.
Absolutely. Sometimes that's all you got to do is to be the best coach, is just kind of watch your players play. Sometimes you can overcoach in these situations, which I think some of the people on the lower tiers have done a little bit as well. So that is true as well. But that is this week's episode of Tier Tuesdays, going through the NFL head coach, as you see from top to bottom, a little bit of everything and something in between. Feel free to let us know in the comments down below how much you hate it or how much you like it, and everything in between. And make sure they are funny and clever like they were.
I was about to say, if you're going to come with the heat, come with the heat. I don't care. Like, bring on the smoke. Make it funny, though. That's the only requirement to this list.
Absolutely. Well, we appreciate y'all here for joining us this week, and we will see you all again for our live episode tomorrow, where we talk about the AFC and the NFC North predictions, or if you'll catch us on one of your favorite places, listen to podcasts later in the week as well, too. But we'll see you all again next week.